2013 A2Newtech. For those of you who haven't been here before, our format is very simple. We have 5 presenters pitch us on their company for 5 minutes. Then we, the audience, can ask them questions for 5 minutes to learn more about their business and what they're doing. And then that's really the entirety of the event. And afterwards, there'll be a little bit of networking. Who here has never been to an A2Newtech before? This is your first A2Newtech. We have a nice mix this month of some companies that are a little bit more hardware focused, as opposed to just straight software. Let me think any other announcements I can do real quick. Oh yes, when it comes time for the audience Q&A, there's these nice little microphones between every other seat. If you can hit the button on top of it until the light turns red, then everyone will be able to sort of hear the question that you ask. And I guess without further ado, our first speaker is Rod from TotalCAE.
Actually, I think I can speak loud enough even without a microphone, so probably I'll just leave that here. Can everybody hear me in the back? All right. So I'm Rod, I'm from TotalCAE, and what our company does basically is solve engineering problems using computer-aided engineering. So if you don't know what computer-aided engineering is, basically it's using a complex IT system like thousands of computers hooked up with specialized networking to simulate car crashes, crash test dummies, noise. Like when you see on TV, like a car crash into a wall, or they'll like have those crash test dummies go through the windshield. That's when the car is done, and it's too late to do anything about it. They just do that for the government. If you actually want to build a car, you have to do all that up front and make decisions, and decisions are easy to make in a computer system. You can crash it millions of times, it doesn't cost you any money. The dummy can go through there a few times and they don't get beat up. So these systems are actually kind of complex to put together. There's a lot of software written even in Fortran, so it's kind of weird to talk about Fortran in a new tech stuff. But all these codes have been around a long time, and we basically have specialized in putting these systems together for Tier 1 autos, other suppliers in a variety of industries. So our basic business is, if you have a system, we can put the hardware together, all the specialized networking, 40 gig InfiniBand. We have like a lot of specialized IT equipment that goes into this. It's not like stuff you buy at Best Buy. We also have to write a lot of software to glue this stuff together and actually make it work. So when we get done, we have a working solution. One of the solutions that we have is the engineer has a bunch of different models that simulate things like noise, like I said, crash tests, heat. We have a portal that's written that lets them drag these simulations easily onto this workspace, pick it up from a bunch of parameters, and then we make sure those jobs get scheduled onto these thousands of systems, get crunched, get put in a certain order, and the results turned back in the format the engineer needs. So the interface is kind of simple, but there's a lot of complexity behind the scenes that goes into doing this, and we try to keep the engineer focused on engineering. So our portal has a standard view of all of the machines, and this is a small cluster where they can click on just the diagnostics they need. It tells if their model is still working, make sure that the simulation's running, because these simulations can take several days, even on hundreds of machines. And if they don't find out that they're not getting the answer in time, by the time they get the answer, the decision was already made. So one of the things that we try to do is get the answer to the engineer in time for them to actually influence a decision. Otherwise, they just have to move forward to keep the project on time. So you might be thinking, one of the barriers we have is the market's kind of small. There's not a lot of customers that can afford to put 1,000 computers in to crunch a problem. So a lot of engineering is done like with the old way of just try it and see what happens. Small companies just can't afford simulation. And so you think cloud computing would be the perfect fit for this. You can go build 1,000 computers. You don't have to build a data center. You don't have to have a nuclear power plant next to you to power these systems like Google has. But up to this point, we haven't been able to do that. There's been a lot of challenges. One is that the ISVs who make the software that do all these simulations do not allow you to run on cloud computing resources. They see that as their business model is the more compute power you add, the more expensive the license is. There's reasons for military reasons. They don't want to have these simulations be mobile, so you could just pick it up and move it to a different country. And so the licenses are basically locked to physical machines. And so up to this point, there's been no real cloud for what we do. But this year is the year that things are starting to thaw. People are starting to allow these licenses. A lot of the technical challenges that have existed up to this point that have prevented us from taking all of our technology that we do today and moving it onto the cloud are starting to thaw. So I think in a few years we'll be able to have a lot of smaller companies like in Michigan be able to take advantage of simulation and have some cost competitiveness that maybe only the big players can afford today. So what we'd like to do in our dream, and this is taking our existing platform and tools that we have that sit in-house on IT systems that we deploy today in large data centers, and just have someone swipe a credit card, upload their model. We build a cluster, these big IT systems on the fly, and they crunch their model, and then when it's done, they get it returned. And so instead of spending $250,000 to get that first simulation, you can spend $55. So that's kind of the goal. We do have prototypes. We're not the only ones trying to do this. We've done several proof of concepts with different companies, but the reason we're here is we need more developers basically to help us. We have a lot of Python, HTML, JavaScript, and there's a lot of complexity to orchestrate all that on the back end. So that's why we're here, looking for anybody who is experienced in those things. All right, that was my presentation.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
So now is the Q&A portion. Please don't forget to hit the little button on the microphone and wait for the little red light so that we can hear you all and take it away.
All right, sure.
So how do you handle the proprietary nature of the data that you're dealing with? Companies really, their models are very, very proprietary. How do you handle assurance?
Yeah, what I usually say about cloud security isn't actually a barrier normally. In fact, I'd say most of the time a cloud computing environment is just as insecure as on-premise if you make it that way. And I've seen a lot of insecure setups that people feel are secure, but they aren't. I've seen a place where you have those RSID tokens that, the RSA tokens that print the little secure code so you can log in. A webcam strapped to a computer that was taking a picture of it and sending it to another country so their engineers could log in. So I mean, you can defeat any secure system. So yeah, we don't really get that as a problem up to this point. There's a lot of other bigger technical problems. For example, these models generate gigs and gigs and gigs of data. Yeah, by the time you download the data, the problems already have been, you could have done it locally. So we've worked around those technical problems. So yeah, the barriers have dropped over the last year's technology has caught up to fix these kinds of solutions.
You told me about your technology.
Yeah.
You told me about the limited market. Who's your customer?
All the major car companies, all the manufacturers of those, so Honda, Ford, all their suppliers. So Michigan is our, that's why we're in Michigan. We also have quite a few oil and gas and auto. Aerospace customers do the same kind of thing, but that's the market. But those people that can afford to have a cluster computer system, basically.
What are you offering them?
We offer them the ability to get this designed quicker. So, like I said, if you have to wait a month to get the simulation, by then the decision has to be made to move the product forward. So, if we can give that answer in a day, then you can make an upfront design decision, and you have more time to iterate and make a correct design. And so that's kind of where our sweet spot is. That's a lot of customers come to us with that problem. I need to get my design simulation lifecycle down so I can actually make a better decision up front before I have to build a prototype.
If you're basically selling the ability to run this cloud computing, let's say that you have 1,000 virtual machines online, do you need 1,000 seat licenses for that?
That has been one of the holdups. So there is, so basically one company, and I don't want to name companies on here because I'm part of a lot of companies, but one company said, you know what? You have one license, you can run on 1,000 machines, or you can run on one, it's the same cost.
What's your cost for that?
It's the same, it's not my cost, it's the application cost.
Is this $100, $1,000?
It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So but for that application, then you can, now you can actually use 1,000 machines. And there's also in the market some open source in the CFD world that came out where there is no license cost. So there's some, quite a few things have changed where people are, the licensing model has gotten very more attractive and you're able to take advantage of the resources. So yeah, a challenge in the past has been you can afford a huge cluster, but the cost of the software, you couldn't utilize it.
That was my question. As an open SCAD user, if I'm rendering some like Minecraft creatures and it takes like 30 minutes on my local laptop or something, could I use TotalCAE to get that done in like, I don't know, like 5 minutes or 30 seconds or something? Or is it's not targeted towards the sort of the low end?
Yeah, it depends on the application. Like and for rendering, we don't do a lot with rendering, but Maya is a popular application that does rendering. That, yes, you could. Yeah. So we do that. We have a company, local company that does bottle rendering, and we have their render farm that we did for them.
Okay, there we go. So I'm a little confused. So your company doesn't actually build the simulation software.
No.
You're licensing from other people.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there's starting to be more of a shift towards allowing cloud-based computing for this. Wouldn't that effectively put you out of business completely? Or aren't you effectively the middleman right now?
No, we're kind of our main model is consulting. So markup on a piece of hardware is about 1%. So you're not getting in business by selling hardware. And in fact, we would rather not sell the hardware, to be honest, because there's a lot of risk when you sell to a company who could go bankrupt when you sell them a $500,000 computer system. So we would prefer, for us, we're the solutions provider. So no, we still make the same amount. We're offering the consulting services, the know-how to integrate all this stuff, and the platform to do that. So no, we just sort of do what makes our customers be more successful. It wouldn't put us out of business. We're not we don't sell, we're not making money on hardware.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. There'll be time afterwards. Up next is Sally from Pinoccio, and while we're bringing the presentation online, I just wanted to thank our sponsors. This event really could not happen without the University of Michigan Law School Entrepreneurship Clinic. They've been very kind to us, both in terms of space and other resources. And also thanks to A2 Geeks, which is sort of a meta organization in Ann Arbor that helps organize a lot of these various different geeky events. And for more information about A2 Geeks, you can go to a2geeks.org. I think it's a recent 501c3 nonprofit here in Ann Arbor. So
2, 1,
3.
3.
This is why we practice.
This is why
ahead
we
of time
practice.
a little bit.
So it helps.
And then, but then, yeah. Awesome.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Go away. If I just...
Yeah, this is not actually touchscreen, it's just for this. You have to keyboard and mouse everything on the actual computer.
Will
it's
the
good.
goofy mouse go away? Oh, yeah. Oh. And bam. Okay, hey everybody. Hello. I will use the microphone because I talk quietly. My name's Sally. I'm a user experience designer, and I'm the co-founder of Pinoccio. I'll tell you a little bit about user experience design in case you don't know what that is, and then I'll talk to you about Pinoccio. This is probably a 25-minute talk. I'm going to run through quickly. So what is user experience design? If you were leaving this room and you saw this set of doors, what would you do? Well, so in essence, this is bad user experience design. You know, the designer made some choices that sort of communicate a certain thing, and then they had to kind of make up for it by putting up signage. And we know that people don't read signs. So, you know, it gets a lot more complicated when it's electronics and there's buttons to push. There's another layer of abstraction on top of that. So I'll show you an example of the typical home AV system. This probably looks like something you have at home. And my friend Spencer's grandmother, she watches a lot of TV. She lives at home alone. And he had to do this to help her figure out how to use her phone. It's kind of simple. Yeah, I love that. So, you know, user experience designers come at product design from a place of empathy. We try to learn about who are the people that are using the technology that we create. We try to empathize and put ourselves in their shoes and make product decisions around that point of view. And, I always like the couch pillow too from Skymall. I was always a fan of that. So it gets even more complicated when you are designing products for the web or computer-based products because it's just pixels. It's all complete abstraction. So that's an overview of user experience design. I'm a co-founder. My co-founder, Eric, is a software developer. So we are coming from a web development background and we are parlaying into the Internet of Things space. Pinoccio is a complete ecosystem for building the Internet of Things. It's hardware, and I've got a couple of Pinocchios with me today that I can show you guys later if you're curious. Okay, so the hyperbole part about Internet of Things. Cisco says there's about to be $14.4 trillion of value up for grabs in the next 10 years. And of course, we're talking about Cisco, not Cisco. That's a decent response. I thought there'd be 3. So Eric, my co-founder, and I believe deeply in democratizing technology. And I do believe the Internet of Things is about to happen. We're on the cusp of it. We're going to see it, flourish in the next 5-10 years. And we want to democratize it by creating like a DIY platform for hobbyists to build the Internet of Things. So until now, you needed all this stuff if you wanted to create the hardware side of the Internet of Things. There's this huge last mile problem with bridging hardware to the web. Now you just need Pinoccio. And on the software side, you needed to understand all these different technologies to actually bridge that hardware to the web. That last mile problem is the main issue. Now you just need Pinocchio. Yeah, so we're pitching ourselves as a seamless end-to-end Internet of Things ecosystem. Early on, we're targeting a early adopter pilot market of software developers, mostly web developers. So I want to spend a little bit of time at the end talking about challenges. We're coming from this software development background. We're now in hardware. So there's really tough pickles around finding your product market fit. Whereas with a web app, it's really easy to throw something quickly, throw it quickly together, put it up online, see how people use it, iterate from there. It's a lot harder with hardware. Your iteration cycles are much longer. They're on the scale of weeks to months instead of hours to days. So what we did early on to see if we felt like we did have product market fit was, and I'm happy to go into depth in the Q&A, we did qualitative research. We went to a lot of conferences where we thought our target market would be, and we did interviews. From that research, we developed personas around who the behavioral aspects of who these hobbyists were, what their needs were, where other products weren't meeting their needs. And then we followed up all of that with a crowdfunding campaign to prove out that there was actually demand for this product. And we launched that in, I think, January on Indiegogo. We were trying to raise $60K, we raised $105K. So we blew it out of the water, 175% funded. So we felt pretty confident we had product market fit at that point. Yeah, and we're not hiring yet. Hopefully we'll be growing our team in the next year. We're not quite there yet. We're trying to start manufacturing in July. And yeah, I'd love you guys to join the forums and give us feedback, and we want to hear your opinion on what we're building and how you think you'd use it. 3, 2, 1.
And now the Q&A portion.
Yes.
What's your unique differentiator of this? I mean, there's a lot of Grios and stuff out there
That's a
already.
good question. I think the absolute nugget of it is bridging that last mile. So there's plenty of hardware offerings. There's Arduino, and you can get a Wi-Fi shield or an Ethernet shield. And then on the software side, there's things like Cosm or If This Then That. But to actually get hardware, so part of our value proposition is you'll get Pinocchio, flip it on, do a 30-second configuration, and you're already talking wirelessly to the web. You're controlling the color of the LED right out of the box. You're taking a temperature reading and seeing that on a web page. And then from there you can start building web apps or adding more sensors to make it more complex. But right now that's like a weeks to months problem to solve, and you have to be deeply technical in all those areas that I listed. Anybody else? Oh, yeah.
First of all, congratulations in your process. Excellent. The question I do have is you seem to have a distribution problem.
What?
How are you going to be distributing your product?
Okay. Well, for one, we'll sell online. We have an e-commerce site that we'll be launching. We're going to work with resellers that have this target audience. That's the core distribution model. Do you see any issues with that?
I didn't hear it, that's why.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't really cover it. Yeah, I sort of breezed through a lot of.
How do I get this?
Go to our website and order it. Yeah, and actually we'll have a pre-order system up soon, and we're collecting email addresses right now so that we'll do an email blast when pre-ordering is ready, take all those pre-orders, and then we can start shipping. There's laws around you can't take pre-orders too soon before you're about to ship, so we're holding off on that, but it's on the way. Yeah.
I was curious, is the target, your target person like somebody who would buy like a Raspberry Pi? For me, I was trying to get my daughter interested, and I'm like, there's a lot to learn, like you had said, to get that going. So is that something where kids, I mean, is that, like I could pull out of the box and my daughter could, or son could both
Yeah,
get going with it?
Not early on. Like,
Okay.
Early on it'll be like Zach.
Okay, so it's still the same person. The same person that did the Raspberry Pi or computer board would be the same.
Unique market.
Yeah, it's unique. So I think it's more like early on, and this will help us actually like glean more market research data. Early on, it'll be people who tend to be web developers. So we formed two personas. One is a web developer persona, someone who's super comfortable writing web apps, and maybe they're hardware curious, but they haven't really gotten into that too much yet. Or they have an Arduino that's kind of, they did a couple things with it, and now it's on their shelf because it doesn't really speak their native tongue.
Okay.
So we want it to be the hardware platform of choice for web developers. They'll know exactly how to write against it. And then also people who have like an electrical engineering background, who aren't afraid to like, those are like our deep geeks that are actually helping us a lot on the forums make product decisions early on. But once people like Zach are writing web apps, then from there you could deploy, Zach's app onto your own board. So like if your daughter wanted to use Zach's weather station app that he wrote for Pinocchio, you could just load that onto her board and have her like play with a couple values from there. That's a little bit more.
Okay.
And it's not just me, right? Who here owns a Arduino or Raspberry Pi? Okay, so there's almost anything.
Yeah. It's interesting. The maker market, I think, is exploding right now. And yeah, as soon as I started building stuff, I just wanted it all wireless and I wanted it all to talk to the web. Yeah.
Do you have any ideas or plans about how you can maybe expand beyond being basically the current day version of like the old Radio Shack electric, kits? So I feel like all these Arduino things and Raspberry Pi are really cool, but they're very hobbyist oriented, and I don't feel like how do you get mass appeal?
I agree. Yeah. I think, some of it is just kind of like the visual language of the thing, like having a simple enclosure. So like by the time we're, trying to target kids as a possible market, we want to put like kind of a bomb-proof little cube plastic case around it, rounded edges, really friendly. It'll still have like inputs and outputs for adding sensors or like motor shields. The whole like language of like shields stacking on top of microcontrollers is really interesting to me because it's almost Lego-like. Like that's a really friendly, approachable way of interacting and building, adding functionality. But I think it's as simple as like enclosures, a little bit more like graphical user interface around the software side of things. I think that could go a long way because right now when you pull out like a printed circuit board, it's kind of intimidating and you feel like, you don't know if you're going to damage it if you touch it. You don't know what's possible. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Cool. Thanks.
Next up is Ornicept, and while you guys are getting set up, there's been an unfortunate turn of events, and this room is actually double booked, and so we have to be out of here at 7:15-ish. So I think what we're going to do is do the next 3 presentations, and then do Q&A networking either downstairs, or we've been told that the room directly below us is available, and so get out your pencil and paper or smartphone. Or
No, don't get your pencil and paper.
Jot down your questions, and we will take them to the networking session afterwards.
Why don't we do them and the Q&A?
We'll see how much time we have. It might be a little tight.
We have a bigger group than that.
Yeah. There is room for us, but it's downstairs, so we could just move the questions and networking downstairs after the presentations. Yeah. Maybe.
Hi, my name is Russell Connard, and I have a confession to make. I am a computer scientist with a birding habit.
Woo!
So, yes. And so, right now, if you want to collect data on natural resources, you have to send an army of biologists out into the field. I have, ever since high school, been traveling around the country looking for the next rare bird to put on my list. And for the last few years, I've been dragging my wife through the swamps of America, trying to get that next bird, and in her case, the next fish. Justin, on the other hand, grew up in the Pacific Northwest with his father, who was a career wildlife biologist with the Forest Service. And they were working ahead of the advance of the logging industry to protect the spotted owls. And so this naturally gave us kind of wondering, when those biologists go out in the field, what are they doing? how does natural resource data get made? And what we found surprised us. When you send an army of biologists out into the field, you send them out with a clicker, GPS, camera, topographical map, form, clipboard, Sharpie, and a broken pencil. And once you've collected all this data in the field, what you do next is even worse. You have to manually enter this data into the computer. And the state-of-the-art system used across the industry is Microsoft Excel. When they share this data, they take a write-in-the-rain notepad, enter it into Excel, and email it to someone, and their backup looks like a stack of write-in-the-rain, that's what they're called, notepads, stacked on the corner of their desk. And so we have created the first end-to-end solution for managing this data. When we first heard about this problem, we hit the phones and started calling everyone in our network to see what they were doing. And here are examples of different organizations and companies we called, because we found that across the private sector, environmental consultancies, nonprofits, federal, state, and city level agencies, everyone is using the same paper-based method for entering data, and up to 30% of their costs are associated with data entry, analysis, and management. So we've created an end-to-end solution that uses rugged field computers that run either Windows or Android, where they can collect this data in the field, sync it with the web, where we can help them manage and visualize that data from their computer. And even better, we can help folks who are designing the studies to work with those who are actually in the field running those studies.
Thanks, Russell. And so there's a lot of advantages to the system we're proposing, and we've got a lot of good feedback. First is we create a standardized approach for collecting this data. So one of the big problems is that they might have a study design that they're trying to implement, but when they finally put it into the hands of people who go and actually collect it, a lot of times what they get back, it doesn't fit the study. And so they might not know this for 6 months until they get the final results and start compiling it all. And so that could be potentially millions of dollars of lost effort and data that's basically worthless. It's also verifiable and auditable. So we do GPS tracking for all when they do their surveys. Allows us to make sure that they've done them properly. And it's efficient. So we can improve a lot of the efficiencies by removing the kind of back at the office data entry step, which can take up to 40% of a project's cost. 30% on average. And then it's scalable. So it's a very easy system to scale. And with a very short payback period relative to the cost they're paying right now. So in terms of a business, we are a software company. We just like to clarify that. So we developed a software service platform that basically allows for the management of this data. But we utilize hardware and act as a reseller so that we can provide an end-to-end solution to our customers. We currently have a number of partnerships and pilot projects in place. We're working with Duke Energy. So one of their big complaints is they have 15 different projects. They might have 15 different consultants using 15 different methodologies. And on top of that, they're required to train their entire O&M staff on how to collect incidental data for the life of these projects afterwards, and that in order to make sure that they collect this data properly. With us, we can provide them a tablet that quickly walks them through the process and collects the data they need and eliminates a lot of that cost and effort. In addition, we're working with SWCA, which is a large environmental consulting firm that does a number of projects in the wind energy space as well as many other environmental concerns. And they're really excited about what they're doing. We're solving a huge pain point for them. Up to 30% of their costs can be associated with these studies. And they've committed to working with us on developing additional applications or additional approaches for their system. And then we're also working with Sedgwick Law Firm and Alan Glenn down in Texas. And by utilizing the system through him, all the data can be protected by attorney-client privilege. So that's another benefit and value that we can add to the customers. So in terms of what we're trying to do, we're trying to avoid the two biggest mistakes, which is entrepreneurs don't know what they don't know, and they think they can do it all themselves. So we could use help with negotiating enterprise-level SaaS agreements, exploring the possibility of doing server-based licenses, and then structuring data permissions and managing the data from the mobile to the server. We're still waiting to hear back in the room. Let's do a 1.5-minute question lightning round. All right, shoot, go.
So it's sort of like software that helps with biodiversity surveys?
Yeah, so it basically provides them tools that they can take out in the field and manage all their data, and then provides another layer, additional layers of project management and data analytics.
Right.
So yeah, it's one system they can use to take care of the entire project.
To be very clear, this is an enormous challenge across a huge market, across different sectors. Our beachhead market is we're focusing on renewable energy environmental impact statements because it's a defined set of survey types and defined customers.
All right, shoot.
Any IP?
So for this, at the moment, no. A lot of this is just through the customer relationships we've been able to establish. As we grow, it's a sticky model. So, as we get more and more customers, we can grow, but we also are looking beyond that to implementing additional technologies such as automated remote monitoring systems that allow us to collect the data, and there's a lot of IP that we can generate about that and it feeds into our system.
Have you considered the social aspects here? I mean, it almost seemed like there's almost a bigger affordance, certainly. Have you thought about how you...
Yeah, so we've been playing around with that. As we kind of look to scale and kind of open up more to kind of a mass market approach for people who do these type of surveys. We're looking at maybe reducing some of the cost for the service if they're willing to make the data public.
One last question.
Weren't you guys working on a computer vision application before? Did you guys do a pivot?
Yeah, so that was still very much within the realm, but our kind of key focus is solving problems that customers are willing to pay for today, and then working on new technologies that can solve other problems later.
And so we tend to believe that it's better to kind of put what you really care about on the back burner if it's better for the success of the company.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Thanks, you guys. And we'll ask additional questions throughout the day. Steve from Quikly, you are up next.
Zach, we should probably do it the rest downstairs.
Let's go downstairs. Yeah, let's go downstairs.
It's going to be too hard.
All right. So we're going to move to the room that is directly underneath us for the last presentation.
There's a couple things that drove that we wanted to build into a marketing platform. First one that I'll cover is scarcity. Really, when it comes down to it, there's only 4 TVs in the store and everybody's racing to it, but once they get you in there, they've got you and you're gonna buy something on your way out. The other thing is competition. It really is competitive. You see the fights that happen in line. We're not moving that into a marketing platform, but you see that stuff happening. We help to build that competition into it. And the last thing is it's a very social thing. Your aunts and uncles or your cousins are bragging that they're going to be the first in line. They're bragging to their friends and they're putting pictures on Facebook when they're actually standing in line. And once they get that item, if they happen to get that TV, they're putting it all over the place and bragging to everybody that they were the ones that got the $200 64-inch TV. So what we wanted to do is take all of those different things, plus a couple other factors, roll them into an experience, and put it into something that brands can do any day of the year, and not have to be something that's watered down by everybody doing it on one specific day. What we give to our clients a platform to use this. What they get out of it are new customers, repeat purchases, and social conversations. We kind of sit in the middle of mobile. We have a great analytics on the back end, and then the product's very social. And I'll just show you what that looks like. This is one of our clients and a promotion that we ran a little while ago with Fathead. What we do is we put up a microsite like this. We work directly with the brand. You see what the voucher is for $25, and you see what the price is going to be. We're driving traffic. with a marketing strategy behind the scenes. People are coming in, they're saying, I want in, and you're seeing the competition begin to happen along the bottom of the screen. People are being social about this, they're able to share this with their friends, and I'll show you that aspect of it in a second. What's cool about this wheel is you see it goes from $1 to $3. We're training our users so that when they come to this site, they know that once this deal goes live, they're going to be able to get it at a great price if they act quickly. I'm going to fast forward a little bit just so I don't run out of time here. Once users opt in and say they want in, we ask them how they want to be notified when this release goes live. 90% of people are telling us text right now. And then we ask them if they want to build out a team. This is another part of the retail thing. Let me pause it really quick. What we do with building out a team is you can tag 10 of your friends, share this offer out with them. With Facebook EdgeRank, you're going to be able to keep this in people's newsfeed for a longer amount of time. What it's also doing is it's essentially in a retail model, it's price matching. If somebody who you tag and puts on your team comes in and gets that deal faster than you, we'll price match them because you're the team leader and you drove them to it. We'll give you that deal at the exact same price. So you build out your team. I'm skipping forward just a little bit. There's a Facebook gesture that's going to go out after we notify you that you're in and get ready for a deal. Nobody knows when the deal's going to go live except for my team and the brand that we're working with. What we do is we're driving demand on the front end, watching that demand get to a certain point. Our data's showing we can drive enough demand to sell out a limited supply offer within a matter of days. Facebook gestures are going out. You're going to have the back end of analytics. This is going to be a almost real-time platform for our clients to see what's going on. All this data we're able to share with our client once the entire offer is run. And again, you're seeing the demand drive up. I'm going to skip forward just a little bit. So that's phase one. Phase two is when we actually put the offer out live. At one time, random time, we send a text message out to everybody or a Facebook message out to everybody, a tweet out to everybody who has opted in and let them know what's going on. And then literally my team is sitting in what we call the war room and we watch the traffic on the site skyrocket and people start buying. What's happening is as people are buying, we're raising the price drastically. So we're able to protect our clients' margins and raise things up. Instead of just doing a boring coupon or a Groupon or something like that, this is something that's interactive and fun that they can do with their actual customers. What we're seeing is, right now, because we have a small user base, only about 55,000 people, we're piggybacking off of the clients' users, so their email lists or their Facebook fans. When we're reaching out to those people, they're bringing an average of 5 of their friends to these offers, and we're getting about, of the people who are buying, anywhere between 35 and 75% of the people are new customers. Another 45% of those people will make a secondary purchase within 90 days. Most of the clients that we're that are getting secondary purchases are doing it at double the size of the first purchase. After it's done, this is kind of our viral loop with this. We're still driving demand. There's so many links out there. People are still coming in. They want the offer. And so we're building up demand for the next one. We're able to activate that whole entire user base for the client again. They're coming back to us to do repeat deals.
Thank you.
That's it.
And now we have time for a leisurely 5-minute Q&A.
When you talked about somebody on your team snagging the deal, and then you price matching the deal to the team leader, does that work in the other direction, or do your underlings?
Just the team leader.
Just the team leader?
Yeah, just the team leader.
Then why would I be on the team?
You're going to build out a team when you come back and opt in.
Okay.
So if you were tagged in your friend's original post, now you can also become a team leader, and you're going to do that 40% of the time. You're going to come back and do that, at least on what we're seeing right now.
So you've seen this already, or?
Yeah, this is Fathead. We work with Fathead. We work with Moose Jaw right now. We've done deals with Fandango. Fandango, we released at halftime of the Super Bowl when Beyonce hit her first note. We sold out 1,000 tickets in 2 minutes.
You're ready to scale to that kind of load. You didn't have any challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I can explain a little bit more about how we worked it with Fandango and like where we got the supply from for those tickets and everything. But that was what was like the proof of concept where we're like, okay, and then we raised funds with them. Yes.
Whose customer is it? Is it Quikly's or is it Fathead's?
They're coming through Facebook, our login. They're making the purchase on our client side most of the time. They can.
Could you remarket to your next brand's offer?
Yep. Yeah. So we can't, of course.
So they're your customer.
What's that?
So they're your customer.
They're our customer, but because they're making the purchase on the brand side, So they're coming in, they're saying, I want this, and then once it gets pushed out live, we can push them over to the brand side, and in that case, they are the brand's customers. They've opted in on our side, they become our user, but then they become a user on the brand side on the actual purchase.
Any IP?
Nothing that we've protected at this point, which is, yeah.
Does Fathead think you're going to cannibalize their overall sales with people, training people to wait for bargains?
No. Yes and no. Fathead's interesting because if you go to Fathead, and this is why we think we have a great case study with Fathead. We think we could have done a lot better because with this voucher, when you went on there, they had a 30% off banner across the top of their website, and so that drove down our numbers, from our opinion, of course. But what we've been able to show through the data, is Fathead especially, 75% of the people who came through our system had never bought on Fathead or hadn't in the last year.
And do you have any statistics about repeat purchases? Have you done this? How many times have you done this with Fathead?
Fathead, we've done it once. We launched 6 months ago, and so we've done stuff with the Pistons and done multiple events with the Pistons. Same thing with the Cavaliers, and we were able to raise ticket prices up for how much the vouchers were. Cool thing with that, we were selling tickets at $18, which was normally a $25 ticket for Cavaliers. StubHub was selling for $1 and then knocking you for $4 for buying the ticket. Same seats, well, next to each other. But. Sorry, in the back.
Are you just here to present, or do you actually, are you guys looking for anything, guidance,
Always, right now what we're looking for are people that we can talk to who have been in the retail world and get their feedback on marketing platforms, and how we can possibly, what's the easiest way to go in so that myself and my team aren't cold calling every day for the next 4 months. We're also looking for investors, always looking to raise money, and then we need developers. We need PHP and we need Ruby developers. Sales is going to be the easy thing to find. We're always hard for that too.
There's some more questions in the back over on that side.
Yeah, sorry.
Have you thought about convincing the airlines to do this? That would be awesome.
The programs for the airlines are conversations that I'm having right now.
What pushback are you getting when you're cold calling these customers? What's the...
We don't like Groupon.
Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind. So what we're doing on a branding side and what we're doing on a pitch side is just figuring out a way to completely separate ourselves from that.
Do they need that second sale to make money then, your customer, or they're making money still at 96%?
They're still making money at 96%. Fathead's margins are outrageous. All the clients that we're working with are good margins.
Does it compete with the flash sale sites?
I don't know. Hey, that's it. That's what I'm interested in learning a little bit more about and talking with some people. I'm talking with some people right now that have worked over at Guild Group and understanding what that is. They don't work there anymore. They were there. And just kind of understanding what the metrics look like as we both continue to grow. And then they're iterating, but we're iterating as well. So we don't know if this is going to be the main product that we're going to have. We might turn into being a promotions company and have a bunch of different products like this. And we're trying out some awesome offers right now for some different product features.
So if I get a text from a group leader, do I have to download an app or is it a web app?
Web app. Beautiful web app.
It's a web app. So how do I get 10 phone numbers into the web app?
If you're going to opt in within there, then you'll be opting in through Facebook. And so
I have to use Facebook?
No, you used Facebook Connect to sign in to our site.
No, I didn't. I got a text from a friend.
You don't get a text from a friend. You get a text after you've opted in saying,
So if a group leader says they want me to join, what's the first I hear about it?
When a group leader says they invite you to join their team, you have to opt in to join their team. Once the Facebook gesture goes on.
So I've got to be hooked up with Facebook. I'm only getting it through Facebook.
Right now we're working through Facebook.
Okay.
That'll change in the next coming weeks.
Yeah.
Could you just clarify the revenue model again?
Yeah, we're working on a couple different pricing things right now. One, we've had companies come to us and say, I'll give you all the gift cards. You just send me the customers and you keep all revenue that you make off the gift cards. We don't know if we can scale that appropriately. We've also looked at an affiliate model where we're taking a percentage of all fees. The customers like that but then we're also going down that Groupon model where we're taking a percentage of, whatever.
Okay, there will be more time for questions at the end. Thank you so much. Okay, I think that I have just one last announcement. Please come on up and get us set up. After the last presentation, the last Q&A, please stick around. People usually been around for a bit and continue asking each other questions, that sort of thing. And then afterwards, I don't know, probably around, what was it, 6:45? No, I think that clock's slow. 7:45. A lot of us usually, somewhere after 7:45, a lot of us will head over to Pizza House. If people are interested in joining us for dinner, drinks, or anything like that. Okay, and then so our last speaker tonight is Molly from AdAdapted.
Thank you. Okay guys, hi, I'm Molly McFarland and I am the CMO of AdAdapted. AdAdapted is a new mobile advertising platform and we specialize in high-performing, very customized ads in mobile apps and games. So I always start by asking, ever wonder why mobile ads are so terrible? Anybody in this room that has a smartphone probably is a little dismayed when they see the banner ads that are popping up over their favorite content. And I'm not going to explain this whole chart, but basically there's a really, really noisy, very complicated process for an advertiser to get into your favorite mobile apps and games. And because of that, they lose all ability to customize, they lose all ability to connect directly with the user, and the results are pretty bad. Because basically the results are, for even brands like Sprint or McDonald's, they're shoved into a 320 by 50 banner ad that looks just about the same as any other banner ad that you're going to see. And they get about a less than 1% click-through rate. And the average CPM, so the average payment that a developer gets, is about 75 cents, which is really, really low. So it makes the app developers struggle as well, and the advertisers suffer as well as the users. So once in a while, you see something really cool happen. You see the advertisers actually connect directly with the developers to do some sort of sponsorship model or some way where they can actually connect with the users of the applications. And the results are great. They actually see, when you see an advertiser like McDonald's or you see an advertiser like Subway actually do something with Words with Friends or a different application, you actually see about 3 to 5% click-through, which is much higher than that less than 1%. You actually also get things like better brand impact measures. So you see a higher user perception about the brand. You see better brand retention, so people remember seeing it. And you also see better conversion rates. The problem with this model though right now is, like any model where you have an advertiser going directly to the publishers every time, it becomes very complicated for both sides. One, the advertisers now have to go directly to each app developer, and you also have developers using very valuable resources actually coding in different components for that advertiser. So what AdAdapted does is we make that process much more scalable. AdAdapted is a platform that helps advertisers find these opportunities, serve ads dynamically that look and feel as if they fit into the applications, and do all sorts of reporting and analytics based on the different campaigns they're running, very similar to what you see in banner ads. None of our ads are built in. They're all just based off a dynamic template that we put into the applications. So very quickly, here's an example. Here's where we were talking to AOL and we were looking at 3 different apps they had. And their problem is all their apps look very different. So what we did is talk to them about building in templatized ad units so we would know how big the image could be, where the tagline would go, where their different logo could go, what the destination URLs would be. And we can basically take the assets that we gather from our advertisers to auto-fit the different templates that are going to go into the application. And the result is you have 3 ads that were served dynamically just like a banner ad was that are completely trackable, but they look and feel as if they were meant to be there. There's a lot of issues that we could talk about in should ads really look exactly like the application. That's why one of them has a yellow background. And there's other things that you can do to call out. I think Sally would be fantastic at this and helping us out on how far do you go in going native. But you can see that all these ads look very different and would perform much better. And here's where the scale comes. Without any development resources at all, we would be able to flip those first ads into the ads that you see here for Gillette with just a couple presses of a button. So very, very simple, very fast way to serve something that looks native. So we're running a couple campaigns right now. One I can't show you, but the one I can. This is one that we were doing with Discover Card and an app called LOL Chat. And basically what we did is instead of doing a banner ad that pops up at the bottom, we did a sponsored offer at the top of the feed you see over there. LOL chat usually gets a less than 1% click-through rate. Actually, it's 0.85% on all their banner ads. And we were getting upwards of about a 3.2% click-through rate. So users were responding really well to our ads. We were also getting almost a 9% conversion rate. So people were going through these ads, and because it was coming from a trusted source, it was being endorsed by the app. We were seeing a conversion rate of close to 9% where people were entering their email addresses. So we're seeing that it's working. And I can see by my timer I'm not going to have time to show you the demo, so I'll just tell you about our other campaign very quickly. We're working with a national skincare brand too, where we actually served 2 million impressions. In the 3 apps that we served in, one of them got over a 3% click-through, which was 3 times higher than what the app gets with banner ads. The next one got almost a 5% click-through, which was 5 times higher than the same app with banner ads. And the last one's a mystery right now. I know, so overall they're very happy with the campaign, plus we got a higher CPM for the developers as well as ourselves. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Questions? No questions?
I have some questions.
Great.
It's sort of a tough one, but I saw on the graph that the conversion rate actually dropped after the first week.
Yeah.
Is that because users sort of like, they were like, oh wait, I just clicked on an ad, or what do you think sort of happened there?
That was our first campaign. So where a normal banner ad network is constantly rotating different ads, right? So you have different advertisers that you're working with. Users don't see the same ad over and over again. So we were kind of showing these users the exact same ad over and over again, and you could see how that chart dropped down. Basically, what we're using this for is to go back to the advertiser and say, hey, we want to switch out some different ads. We're also going to use different advertisers here because we think that we can keep those conversion rates much more steady.
So you're still building custom ad units, so does that mean you're only targeting really big publishers?
No, not necessarily. So there is some customization. It's more than a banner ad. But basically, after we make that first template, it only takes about 5 minutes to make any subsequent ad, right? So you make that first ad and you say, you need that first campaign image, you need a tagline here. We're going to have 140 characters of their tagline below and the destination URL. Once that's defined and we know how it looks and feels in that app, it only takes seconds for us, it takes us right now a couple minutes to change that out for different brands. Eventually our platform will do that automatically. We'll still probably have people or have advertisers have the ability to preview it. So it's like you get something that flashes on the screen saying, we used your assets, we custom made this ad, do you approve or not approve? But it's still so much faster than an advertiser going directly to a publisher.
What's the improvement in the CPM price for your type of advertising versus a regular banner ad?
So we did a $2.50 CPM with the other advertiser that I was talking about, which is already an improvement over the average of 75 cents. But with bigger campaigns that we're now pitching to larger agencies, it's closer to a $10 CPM, which we validated the price with multiple agencies, including Starcom, Digitas, large guys that make these kind of purchases.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
way
great.
better. Yeah. And that's fine. And we actually were pitching a $5 CPM for a while. We were pulled aside almost and said, if you guys are really able to get these ads in that look this customized and can do this kind of click-through rate, then you have to start selling higher. So we're excited about that prospect.
Tell me a little bit about your other customer, which are the developers.
The developers, okay. So we did a pivot a little while ago. At first we thought we were going to be just a mobile game network, right? We thought it'd be great to have things like logos on billboards and mobile games or on the field and all sorts of things. But we found that mobile games have a lot of different options for monetization right now. You can constantly get users to buy things like coins and stuff within the game. But there's this whole other section of apps. There's this whole section of apps like to-do list apps, apps where people are, the one we're working with, comparing their face to celebrities, all sorts of things that have almost no ability to monetize besides banner ads. And they're also less, they might have 10 million users, but that's not enough to have a whole sales force that's able to make connections with agencies and sell directly. So they're really caught between this sort of rock and hard place. We're actually working with a couple of different apps that have been selling directly, but when we approached them and said, hey, do you mind using our model too? Can we also pitch you to some of these advertisers? They say, of course. Anytime we can get some sort of sponsorship, anytime that we can do something that makes these ads better for our users and get a high CPM, we're always about. So,
how difficult is it for the developer to put
so
the hooks into your stuff?
So it's about 2 hours, or it should be less than 2 hours actually, Mike's gonna get mad. We say 2 hours because, okay, it could be only half an hour if you really knew what you were doing. We say 2 hours because we think that that's probably a little bit more standard for some of the app developers that we're talking to. So it is more than a banner ad, but once it's in there, it doesn't take any other development time.
But there's just some call. You give them code, they put the call in the right place in their code, and then it shows up.
Yeah, and then our SDK talks to our ad server, and then we're able to serve ads.
So you're giving them a free SDK?
Yes. We're letting them borrow it, is that?
Well, that's what I asked.
Yeah.
What's your business model?
Oh yes. No, they don't pay for us. So they use our SDK. They put it into their games, and then we serve ads. Yeah.
How are you planning on developing like an app-based, like a database of apps that you can approach and place these ads in?
So right now we're just doing direct sales. It's been by far easier, obviously, to sign the app developers than the advertisers who actually have to pay for it. We're having not a hard time, so we foresee using a direct sales force for a while and then moving mostly to just marketing. So having a lot of inbound, having developers talk to other developers as well as attending things like conferences, but also using a lot of inbound marketing and having them sign up directly to our platform. Our platform is self-serve too, so developers will be able to come and do it all themselves with just minimum hand-holding.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, thank you again to all of our speakers and for everyone for being so flexible and joining us downstairs again. Please feel free to stick around and mingle, ask each other hard questions. And then maybe in like 20 minutes or so, we'll see some of you at Pizza House.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.